Hello and welcome to the RDA. Welcome to the first post Ole Gunnar Solskjaer press conference reaction. And yeah, Ole's been sacked, Ole's gone, and that's that. There's no need to celebrate it more than we have. It is definitely the right decision because he had to leave. He was not up for the job. But at the end of the day, I think we need to recognize that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was part of the furniture. And it is very emotional. It is very emotional. Um, like he's a legend. You know, no matter what you say, he will always be a legend, and we need to respect that. And we just can't over celebrate like he's not one of us because at the end of the day, he is. His methods of trying to get us where we need to not be misguided, but at the end of the day, we need to recognize that he's one of us. He loves this club, and yeah, it is very emotional. It is very emotional. Watching that interview that he did, I don't know how appropriate it was for the club to do that, but yeah, it just took the emotions to another level, a level that probably didn't need to go to, because at the end of the day, as much as it's emotional, we must go through the emotion, we must recognize it, we mustn't over celebrate it and act like he wasn't one of us. But at the same time, this is elite level football, and to manage at this level, you need to be up for it. You need to be the best, especially at the best club in the world. So at the end of the day, like they say in business, it's just business. That's business. That's football. It's just football. And maybe there is something to be said about the merry-go-round that manages in football. Maybe some might argue that it shouldn't be like that in the first place. But at the end of the day, that's how it is. And if you want to succeed, you can't be sentimental and hang on to a manager just because he is a legend and you love him, because you're not going to go anywhere, you need that elite mentality. So yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. And we move on, hopefully to a brighter chapter in Manchester United. And Michael Carrick, his first press conference as caretaker of Manchester United. Not interim, caretaker is the word I'm hearing being used. And then we're going to have an interim, and then we're going to have a manager. Classic Manchester United. It's all a mess. So yeah, Carrick would step in, and yeah, he'd set the tone. He come out firing and just say how it is, and just wanted to say where everything is. And this is the words he had to say before the questions were even asked. He was like, first of all, it's been an emotional time for everyone at the club. Worked with Ole for 3 years and known him for a lot longer. Knowing that the person that he is, the values that he has, how he treats people, to see him lose his job was tough for me and a lot of people at the club. I think you can tell from the emotions yesterday what he meant to everyone. Results are everything. As much as you build the right environment, you don't get what you deserve. A massive thank you from all of us, so to Ole. And yeah, that's understandable. They were together. You could see in the way Ole would defend Carrick and McKenna and them that they're very close. They're a very close technical team. They're friends. It goes beyond it just being football, just being business. They're friends, and yeah, you could tell with the emotions. That it's tough. It's tough. You can just tell from how the players have backed Ole till this far that they really care about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And how Bruno was even defending against the fans. They care about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So this must really hurt. No matter what you say about the manager, you build a bond with him, you build a relationship with this person, and the fact that they leave now, and they might argue to themselves, or they might tell themselves that it's probably more our fault. They might see it that way because they're professionals. It must hurt. It must really hurt. And they're clearly very emotional. Michael Carrick is clearly emotional. And yeah, I feel for them from that point of view. I really do. And it being Ole, as I said at the beginning, it just makes it worse, Like, Ole's Ole. We can't deny that he's an important person to us, But like I said, let's not overdo it, because at the end of the day, it's just football, And we need to move on. We need to move on. So yeah, he started by saying that and just setting the scene. And yeah, Captain Maguire, would join him in this press conference, and the questions would be aimed at him first. And you know what? I'm just gonna read pretty much all the quotes because it's a bit repetitive and I don't want to dilly dally too much. It's a very long press conference, longer than usual. So yeah, the Maguire would start about responsibility, or you'd be asked for responsibility, and that how much responsibility should the players take for this? And is it just on Ole, or should the players take responsibility? And he's saying the players need to take responsibility. We are in this together. Ultimately, the manager has to pay the price. We are all so disappointed by that. We know we haven't been good enough. We have spoken about that. The lads want to succeed. He'd go on and say that he's looking forward to the match. Oh no, that wasn't him. That was Carrick actually. He'd go and talk about how hard it is. How hard it is losing Ole, how hard it is just the form in the moment. And he'd say it's been a very hard time as players. The amount of respect we had for the boss. We've been on a journey together. For him to come in and talk to us yesterday, it was tough. The result on Saturday wasn't good enough, but the results of recent have not been good enough. Ole has paid the price, and we have to take a big responsibility too. Yeah. So yeah, basically Ole came in and talked to them, and you can imagine that was emotional. Final address, someone you've been so close to, someone who's been your gaffer, someone who's given you such opportunities, especially in Maguire's from Maguire's point of view. Ole made him captain. Ole brought him from Leicester. So I can imagine it was very emotional. I hear that everyone is emotional and Carrick Manchester United on that day. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough for the players, but the professionals, they have to get up, and show why they deserve to wear the shirt. Show why it wasn't Ole. It was Ole. It wasn't them. Show the talent they have, which I trust they do. These are talented players, so I trust that they will show better than what they're showing. And yeah. He talked about it not being good enough. He really touched on that. I'm not going to read the same thing. I mean, these questions are a bit repetitive as well, so I'm not going to read over that again. And he's like, they'll ask him what Solskjaer said exactly to the players on Saturday or on Sunday. And he'd say, we're all in this together. We have done everything we can. We are giving everything we want. We're giving everything we want to succeed. The manager came in and spoke to us. It was an emotional day. He was a legend. He will remain one. He wished us well. He said he will be supporting us. He wants us to win in every game of football. So basically, what we heard Ole say in the thingy, the interview did, that he said that they're better than this, and yeah, they'll get back from this, and then he'll be supporting them from sideline because he's a fan. He's a fan. The little cuts experiencing some weird technical difficulties. But yeah, Maguire would finish off by saying that, just make sure my camera's straight. Make sure my camera's straight. It's good enough. It's good enough. Maguire will go on to say, or he'd be asked about what's gone wrong. What's gone wrong, and he would say, I think in football, you have ups and downs. The toughest time for many, the toughest time for many at club level. Okay, it hasn't been good enough. Not delivering individually or collectively. It's snowballed from one thing to another. We have to find something within ourselves to find that focus and mentality. And yeah, the perfect answer, that's what he'd say, he's not gonna throw anyone under the bus, just give a clean answer, just show that he has the leadership qualities, and yeah, it is what it is. And yeah, we go again, basically. We go again, Maguire's favorite line. But yeah, now we're gonna get into our caretaker manager, the guy taking over from Ole, Carrick. And the first question put to him is, what are his expectations? And he would say, in terms of what I've been told, my mindset is preparing for tomorrow, giving my best. I know the club very well. I've been here an awful long time. It's the sacrifice and dedication you need, whether is to one game, two, or a stretch longer. A big game for us in terms of the group stage, so Champions League, and I will go about my job exactly as I know. And yeah, you know what? He started off and he was a bit nervous. And that made me anxious. He seemed very nervous starting off. And yeah, you can hear his voice cracking just a little bit. But to be honest, I think overall a very good press conference from Carrick. I think he got comfortable very quickly, and he seemed to, he seemed okay. He seemed okay. He got the radio answered the questions properly, and yeah, I can't ask more from him. And yeah, basically saying that one game at a time, specifically in terms of what he's here to do. He's not thinking about long term, and he will just help no matter what it is. If it's one game, if it's two games, if it's longer, then he's prepared to just focus on that and get us to where we need to be. Similar words to what we heard Ole say when he came in as caretaker. And yeah, from Carrick, that is the right approach. And that's what he will say. He's not going to say any different. But moving away from Carrick, if I hear a song, if I hear a chant with Carrick's name in it, I am killing someone. I am killing someone because we should not make that mistake again. We should not. And at the end of the day, it shouldn't be our responsibility as fans to say, oh, let's not sing about him. They might hire him. They might hire him because you know what? The lyrics are so, that the melody and the beat is so infectionate that, you know what? They won't help themselves but to give him a contract. That shouldn't be our responsibility. We're fans. We'll sing. We're happy. Carrick is doing it. Ola's doing it. But the thing is, we're in a position where we know our owners are incompetent, our people who control the team are incompetent, so we shouldn't be making songs. I don't want to hear songs. Let's be responsible. And the club should not, under any circumstance, give Carrick a long-term contract. No. Under no circumstance should they give Carrick a long-term contract because, we've been down this road before, and we've seen other clubs as well. Giving the caretaker interim a long-term, that never really seems to work out, So, yeah, they shouldn't do that. They shouldn't do that. And I'm gonna give a benefit of the doubt and say they won't do that. I don't think they'll repeat such a glaring mistake again. And yeah, one game at a time, as Carrick says, he needs to focus on Villarreal, and what he can do to impact the club, to impact our performances, which I'll get to. It's another question. Then the next question put to Carrick would be, why hasn't the season gone well, Carrick? What's going on? You've been there, so you must know. Not like you're a new manager. He says we could sit down and talk through all certain things. Not the time to look back now. I know what I could have done better. Yeah, it's easy to look elsewhere. As players, I was exactly the same. For me, what's next? What is next is a flight to Spain. So they're going to Spain and preparing for tomorrow. So I've said this in my shows a lot. Players will always look at themselves first. So Carrick's saying the same thing. As a player, I always look at myself first, and I have carried that over into a manager because I think it's even more important as a manager. You have to take responsibility and make things happen. And he says even as an assistant manager, that's how he looked at it. And he's not going to point fingers at Ole, and he won't do that. He's not going to throw Ole under the bus. He won't. One, he looks like a good guy, and two, yeah, that just wouldn't come across very nicely. Like you just come across a snake if he started talking about, what, it's Ole, did this. I wasn't involved. It really wouldn't sit well with anyone, I think, to be honest. So yeah, I think that was the appropriate answer. Now, what else could you say? And at the end of the day, Carrick is here as a caretaker. So as yes, you must ask him these questions, but really his job is simple. Just focus on the football for now. What's happening? Just focus on that and focus on making us better as quick as possible. That's his job. And yeah, and I feel like he communicated that really well. I felt like he was very assertive, which is something I think Ole lacked, and I hope that he's like that in his coaching. He's very direct, he says it how it is, and yes, he's not under the pressure Ole is, so you might be more inclined to waffle when you're under pressure, but it did seem more assertive, and I think Ole lacked that. A lot of the questions when he was asked, he'd be all over the place. He wouldn't give a direct answer. Looked like he knew what he was talking about. Looked like he was being truthful. He didn't. But with Carrick, it's been one press conference, yes, and he's not under pressure like others. So I 100% get that, and it'll probably be different if he was in the same situation as Ole. But he did seem more assertive, and I hope that he can be like that with the players, because I do think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was a bit too soft to these players. I honestly think so. I mean, I go back just to Watford. Harry Maguire gets a red card and he high fives him. No, in no world do you do that. I think that's like, no, yes, maybe don't lash out. Maybe do when necessary, not maybe do when necessary, but you can't like be high fiving him. Like, great job, you got a red card. No, like maybe even give him a look. You're like, are you serious? Do you not see what's happening here? So yeah, I do think he was a bit soft, these players, and I do feel like we need a manager who's a bit more assertive, who says, you know what, I'm the manager, it's gonna be done like this, and you know what, deal with it if you have a problem with it. I mean, I look at Conte just on the weekend against Spurs, not against Spurs, against Leeds, when they were losing and they came back. Conte is so animated, He's just like, he's there, He wants his players to get what he wants them to do, and is very direct about it. And I think, moving away even from tactics, I feel like your personality on the touchline and your personality in training will be seen in the way your team performs, Pep, Klopp, they're very intense characters, very direct characters, very assertive characters. And you see that in how their teams play. And I think Ole didn't really have that, among all the other problems, he didn't really have that. And I'm hoping that Carrick, at the bare minimum, can come with that and fix it. The next question is about time and whether there's not much really a lot of time to change things, between now and Villarreal and Chelsea and going forward. And he would say, it is a challenge. Of course it is. The initial reaction yesterday and coming to terms with the situation. You've got to focus. It's a great privilege to be at this club in any position. A limited time to change things, but a challenge I am relishing. Great people, great players. I'm working with a fantastic group. All I like saying it as well. Great people, great players, and yeah, it's the manner thing to say, I guess. And yeah, time. I think. Sorry about that. It's a bit tricky when it comes to Villarreal. It's a one day. It really is. What can you really do? And we talked about this on a preview to the Villarreal game. Please go check that out. So that's a good one. And I think what I was saying to Shinny is that I think he just needs to try communicate a fresh start, because I'm of the opinion that it is all a mental thing with these players. As much as we see this whenever a dressing room is lost under any manager, it's the mental thing. You see the best of players not being themselves, really, doing questionable things, and I think it's a mental thing. And I think what Carrick really needs to communicate to these players is that it's a fresh start, Gents, leave that all behind us, just go play football, let's go back to the basics, and if he does that, I think we could smash Villarreal. In fact, I think we could smash 90% of the teams that we play, because of the quality of player we have, so yeah, you just need to try to communicate that, like, forget all of that, Ole's gone, and as much as we don't want to blame him, in a way, he does kind of have to throw Ole under the bus, because he has to communicate an idea of change and new beginning, and that has to come through the fact that Ole's gone. Now there's change, and he can be very careful how the way he does it, but he needs to communicate that as much as possible, He can't just be on like, you can't just come with the same BS that, we go again, United level. He needs to do that, but he needs to communicate a new beginning. He needs to communicate change, and I think if he can get that into the players' minds, that it's a fresh start, I think, his interim or caretaker period will be very successful. I honestly believe that, because these players are so talented. They are so talented, and there's no way these players should be taking 5 to Liverpool. There's no way these players should be taken forward to Watford. And I think if you can just change that little thing, it'll go a long way. Next question is about long term, long-term plans for the job. Does he want the job long term? That's what basically the journalist is saying. Do you want this job? And he would say, first and foremost, it's been literally a day. 24 hours. The game is not much further away. All I have been thinking about is the game, not looking past that. Big game on the weekend as well, but we will address or whatever we need to. As long as the club wants me, I will give my best. So basically saying, I'm not thinking about that, but at the end they're sneaking in and saying, you know what, if they want to give it to me long term, I won't say no. That's what I felt like he was saying, and they must not do that. One, we talked about that, but they must not do that under any circumstance. But yeah, what more can he say? Yeah, I want the job. I'm happy all is gone, I've always thought it was better. No, he would never say that. So yeah, he will talk about how the Villarreal is just to get their way, and yeah, it is what it is. And yeah, long term, he obviously, as I said, he wants the job, and but he won't say that. And at the same time, he has to put all his focus in the next game, And he kept saying he doesn't really know what the club's long term plans are. They haven't really divulged that to him. So yeah, it was very interesting. It was very interesting what you're saying. But what I got with Carrick, once again, about him being very assertive, I felt like, you know what, he came with the mandate that I am going to focus on the fact that it's one game and that's all the focus. And he was not waffling away from that. He was like, "This is it. I don't care what questions you're asking me. The next game, Villarreal. That's all that matters. That's all that matters." And I like that in a way, because as I said again, I just felt like he was more assertive. He was a bit more sure about himself. I felt honestly, um, all like from day one, there was a bit of a thing like, you know what? I can't really trust this guy. He just doesn't have that steel. That's it. He doesn't have that steel that you need as a manager at this level. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but it's true. And once again, it's been one press conference. We're not gonna hype up Carrick. We don't want to do anything because we don't want him. But I felt that I felt more on the Carrick, a little bit more, not much, a little bit more. But I felt it, and I really, really hope he carries that in the way he communicates with the players, because I do think it's lacking. The players are too comfortable at Manchester United, and that needs to change. Um, Next one, a bit repetitive about the managerial position going forward. How does it affect the players? Once again, feels like not my place. One game, that's the club's issue to fix. So yeah, he is very adamant on that, and in a weird way, I did really admire that. I did admire how assertive and how sure he was of his opinion and what he thinks is the appropriate thing to say. Um, when did you find out that you were a caretaker? I'm not going to read this whole thing. Apparently, he found out in the morning. They don't go on social media. We keep hearing this, so clearly they don't. Clearly they don't, because it was all over social media. But Carrick and the players apparently only found out when they got to the training ground that Ole was getting sacked. And yeah, he said he spoke to Ed, he spoke to Ole. It was emotional, and yeah, it was just a whirlwind, according to Carrick. And yeah, he's here a day later. It was just a lot to take in, but he's going to relish the challenge, and yeah, he's going to go in and head first. And what have he told the players? Once again, he didn't go into much. Like, I'm tempted to just skip to this last question. Actually, in fact, I'm going to skip to the last question when he talks about Villarreal, because it was very repetitive. They asked him next about what he told the players and the message to the fans, and he basically said the same thing. He said that one game at a time. We need to get the results right. It's about Villarreal. He didn't really want to get into too much detail besides talking about Villarreal. And finally, the only question really about Villarreal came at the end. And they asked him, yeah, what do you think about Villarreal? What's going to happen? What needs to happen? And yeah, I'll read this whole thing. He said, they're a very good team, well organized, well coached. We played 2 different games against them. The final, we played very well. Stopped them for long periods, but no cutting edge. Okay. The manner of the loss hurts, but we got to say we weren't good enough on the night. And a little worrying, because nothing about the performance was good. Nothing at all. I don't know how Carrick saw that was good about the performance. Nothing about the performance was good. Midfield was sluggish. No cutting edge. We were lackluster in the final third. Defensively, we were in shambolics. We conceded from a set piece. So nothing about the final was good. Nothing at all. So I don't know what Carrick's saying here. And hopefully, coaching wise, I hope he's coming with something different, And something I didn't see in these quotes. I remember him saying, maybe I skipped and I didn't notice. I remember him saying that, he's very similar to Ole in terms of coaching, which I didn't like, because you don't say that, I think. You don't say you're similar to the person who just got sacked. So maybe that wasn't a good move. But he'd also say, as much as I am similar, I do have my own personality and I do have my own takes. So in him saying that, I kind of felt like, there's hope. There's hope of change, There's hope of something different, And I think the question was along the lines of, what are you going to change, Maybe I missed it. I'm sorry if I did. But yeah, he was basically saying that He was saying that I'm not writing out change. That's what he was basically saying. I have my own personality, and we shall see. We shall see. That's exactly the kind of the way he phrased it. And yeah, he must make some difference. Forget the fact that I said you must give them the fresh, the new beginning mentality. You must change some things in terms of who plays, at least. I mean, Donny should play, Sancho should play. Heck, I'd throw in Bailly. I think a way to aid that whole fresh beginning is by playing different players, people who seem to deserve the opportunities. And he probably doesn't have a choice by playing Sancho because I hear that Greenwood has COVID confirmed and he won't be able to play. So Sancho will probably play, but Donny should play. If he plays McFred, oh my gosh, he'll be shooting himself in the foot. It'll be the stupidest thing to do to play McFred because um, McFred is very symbolic of what was bad under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So he must not do that. And yeah, he should make those changes. He should make those changes. He should show us his personality, and he should express himself as much as he can. Because at the end of the day, he doesn't really have much time here. He's gonna leave anyway. It's 1 or 2 games. We saw under Ole in the run at the beginning, he was expressing himself. Thus, he did well until he got the contract, and then he thought about his job security, and like that just waffled everything up. So Carrick needs to take that approach. So he needs to take that approach, make the changes, and just go for it. Just go for it, Carrick. And yeah, that will aid him. Then he would talk about the other game we played against him in the Champions League and just describe them from basic point of view. Just describe Villarreal. And yeah, he just give a little technical know-how. Carrick showing us what he's got. He'd be like, they've got really good technical players, speedy, or speed, penetration. They have a good mix and a good balance. I could have said that. We respect that. I also remember, it's not in these quotes, but I also remember him saying that they're very good at holding on the ball, and that's very frustrating. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see, Carrick. He goes on to say, "We will be good there. We'll be going there with a plan to come out on top. It's a big game for both teams, but we can go and look forward." And yeah, a very big game. Very big game. We need to win this game. We need to win this game. 2 winnable games, Villarreal, young boys, and we need to get through this group. Finish top, get through, get a good draw, and you know what? The round of 16 is far. It's far. February. We haven't been in the round of 16 for a long time. And that's not right. We need to be among the elite. As Manchester United, because we are the elite. We are the elite, and we need to take that back and own that. And it's very far. A new manager could be in. I know we talk of interim, but maybe they just say that because they don't want to tie themselves down to having said they're going to bring in a manager. I really hope so, And the talks of Pochettino, I love Pochettino. I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get my hopes up over nothing. But hearing talks of Pochettino and him wanting the job, I think that would be amazing. So if a manager of that caliber could come in, we win the group, we get a good draw. We're playing the Champions League, and I might be shameless saying this, and you can banter me all you want, but I think we can win the UEFA Champions League. I really do. I think we have the squad to do it. I think Feb is very far away, and the thing about knockout football, it's one game. League is different. If we're 12 points behind Chelsea, it's very hard to recover that because Watford's not going to stop them for us. Maybe they might because they put 4 past us, but then we're shite. But they will not get off track. Norwich not going to stop them for us. But if we're facing Chelsea in the quarterfinal of the Champions League, we can stop them ourselves, So I think when a new manager comes in, that's going to be something exciting to get behind, our Champions League run. So yeah, there's room for a little positivity. Very skeptical because Carrick's in charge. Not much has changed at the moment, but we can be a little optimistic that now there's a little bit of light. It was a very dark tunnel, but there seems to be a little bit of light, and there might be, an opening at the end, some light at the end. So yeah, gonna be interesting. Carrick, won't say I'm impressed, but I did think he was a bit assertive, and I hope he can carry that into his coaching. And it's gonna be interesting, exciting month, I think. Pretty much games every 3 days. I'm very excited. Please stick around the RDA. We're gonna be covering this whole thing, And I think about United. What I've noticed about United, if you want drama, box office drama when it comes to football, Liverpool play the good football. Man City will win. The football's not that amazing anymore. They'll win, but at United, the drama. People watch just for the drama, and like it's gonna be enjoyable no matter what happens. So please stick around with us and watch us react to lose our heads, bang tables, or maybe celebrate, and it's gonna be interesting. But yeah, that was the press conference. We're reacting to Carrick's first press conference. If you like the content, please like and subscribe, and yeah, I'll check you next time.